right, and I'm back. Let's continue with what I started last week. It was kind of a crazy one, and hopefully I'll have time to catch up. But let's continue with the breakdown of episode 2 of season 2 of The Boys. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
I got things finally working properly here. Last week was kind of a mess, but I think we finally got it down. This weekend was also kind of a mess. I spent it in Mexico, had the baptism of my niece, and then yesterday I got caught up on football. Turns out that I'm in too many fantasy leagues, and it's kind of a problem. But I don't know if you guys care about that. Let's get into the boys. But before I get into that, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Also, I'm trying to live stream pretty much every day. This week I'll probably double dip at some point too because I got to catch up. I want to catch up on the stuff because there's a bunch of news out there that I want to get into. We have the price for the Xbox. We had some specs for the PS4. We have a whole bunch of information about a whole lot of stuff that I want to get into. So I will probably double dip at one point in this week, once or twice, because I really want to get into that stuff because it's a lot of fun. So like I said, live streaming pretty much every day on YouTube at Super Dario World and on Twitch at Super Dario World. So you can find me there. Also, I'm considering. I had somewhat of a, let's say, a positive response from my breakdown of Birds of Prey. The summary, which actually wasn't that much of a summary. It was actually longer than, well, it was almost as long as the movie. But people seem to like it, and I've had people ask me like, "Hey, what's going to be the next one?" So it's I have one that I'm considering doing, because basically it's a summary of bad movies and why they suck, right? So if you have any suggestions for me, I'm open to hear them. Like I said, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. But so I'm open to suggestions. If not, I think I already have one in mind, and I'll probably be working on it within this month. So there you go. Let's get into it. Let's get into episode 2 of The Boys. So for starters, let's do the same thing we did last week because I kind of think that's starting to work out. Let's begin with the new characters this season. So let's get this thing bigger right here. All right. So the only new character that actually matters here is Becca Butcher. Now, Becca Butcher is the wife who everybody thought was dead, but no, it turns out she's very much alive. The wife of one of the main characters, Bill Butcher. And she's also the mother of Ryan, who is the son of Homelander. So she's going to be an important character. For the first season, we didn't really know much about her, other than she was dead. And this season, we learned that she's definitely not dead. So there you go. We will probably be seeing a lot more of her, or at least that's my guess, and that's why I'm introducing her now. Anyway, let's get into the summary of this episode. And like I did last week, I'm breaking it down to different storylines. So let's begin with the storyline of The Boys. So this episode begins with Billy Butcher kind of going through some notes that he took, trying to remember where the hell his wife is. And so we can see here he made some notes when he was I guess the moment that he woke up in the middle of nowhere after seeing Becca, and you can see in the notes he wrote down pretty much everything he remembers seeing, like a yellow ranch house, the breeze where the direction it was hitting from, the type of grass, the type of plants he saw. And so this is all stuff that you can see here in that flashback. And then we see him wake up in the middle of nowhere. Who the hell knows how he got there or why? So it's a bit of a mystery why Mr. Bill Butcher there is still alive, why Homelander didn't kill him. But I guess I'm assuming we'll find out at one point eventually. Then we get to see Kimiko here, who's trying to convey a thought. She's been very disturbed since the previous episode about something that has to do with a boy that she saw on the tape. However, she's not able to convey it. And then we see Bill Butcher tell everybody, like, hey, pretty much, I got a plan, and I'll be back in a little bit. So, obviously, since he has a plan, Huey has to get in there and be like, but what's the fucking plan? Tell us. Who are you meeting with? Why? Where? Blah, blah. And Bill pretty much tells him, like, chill, dude. I'm doing whatever the fuck I want, and bolts the hell out of there. So, Huey's still being kind of a stick in the mud there, which is very, very annoying for me. Anyway, we discover that Bill goes actually to the funeral of the CIA agent whose head got blown off in the previous episode, and he goes there to meet with the Colonel Grace. I guess I should have introduced her, but I guess I can do that now. This is Colonel Grace, and she's basically the person who trained Bill Butcher and who got him into this whole superhero hunting business. So Bill meets up with her. He basically says, "Hey, I did not kill Madeline Albright. I'm being framed. Also, my wife Becca's alive. So could you help me out?" And the colonel agrees to help him out, and he makes a deal. So Bill tells the rest of the crew, "Okay, we got a deal from the colonel. Basically, if we find this super terrorist, who's probably in this address that the colonel got me, then we will then she will clean our records from the CIA. So, Mother's Milk, you'll be able to get your kids back. You'll be able to go see your wife. Me, I'll be able to go find Becca because she'll help me track her down, and I can get her the hell out of there where Homelander is. And everybody else, you can go back to your lives." So, obviously, since this is a good plan, it sounds like a solid deal, and it's a smart idea. Huey has to be like, "But how can we trust you? How can we trust you?" Because you have no other fucking choice, guy. All right, you have literally no other options, or at least no other good options to restore your name other than keep running forever. So there you go. You need anybody else want another reason? Anybody else got another reason? No? Okay, let's move on. So they go to the address that the colonel got them to try to capture the super terrorist dude. And it turns out it's like a costume shop. I guess that's not really relevant. As they explore, they discover that it's being held up by basically a group of Asian terrorists called the Shining Light. So this is the group that actually kidnapped Kimiko when she was younger, and so she rips the dude's head off, and that's when she rips his head off because they kidnapped her when she was younger, her and her, and they killed her family and stuff like that. Then she finds the other terrorist that we saw in the video there, and it turns out it's her long lost brother, and so they're very happy and they hug. Eavesdropping on this very heartwarming moment is Huey and Frenchie. Frenchie puts two and two together, like, oh, this is what she'd been trying to tell me this whole time. So as Bill Butcher is about to hit him with a tranquilizer, to neutralize the super terrorist threat, of course, Huey gets to get in the fucking way and ruin everybody's fucking plans. Now, it turns out that when you shoot at a super terrorist with a tranquilizer, he's not really he doesn't know that you're shooting at him with a tranquilizer, and it turns out that if you miss, well, he kind of gets upset and hits you back with all his force, and so it really doesn't go well for them. This is just a little bit. You can see here a little bit of destruction. He actually ends up bringing down parts of the roof, and it's a whole thing. Turns out, not a great idea. So Kimiko does the smart thing and grabs his brother, like, let's get the fuck out of here, because those dudes are going to be pissed. Anyway, Bill Butcher gets up, and he's pissed. So basically he tells Huey, you, me, we're done. Get the fuck out of here. We don't need you. You've been pretty much an anchor this whole fucking time. A huge pain in the ass. Get the fuck out. And everybody else is like, Bill, come on. We can't just take this kid who's Kimiko's brother and give him to the CIA, who's gonna put him in the black box forever. Kimiko's one of us. We can't do this to her. And so Bill Butcher's like, all right, mates, this is the truth. My wife's still alive. I need to get her back. I need to do whatever I can to get her back. But the other dudes are like, dude, we'll find another way. Like, we'll get him, but we need to find another way to get our families back. We can't just sacrifice our family, which Kimiko at this point they consider to be family. So, in the meantime, while they're having this pleasant conversation, Kimiko is having a heart-to-heart with her brother. They're talking about they're both sorry because they both feel like they let the other person down. They should have been there for each other. Blah blah blah. And then she's trying to convince the brothers to stop being a terrorist. But the brother's like, but being a terrorist is fun. And I like being a terrorist. So, and also, fuck America, because it's filled with assholes here. So I gotta be a terrorist. It's my destiny. And so this leads to a fight between siblings, which, when you always throw your sister off through a building when you ever get pissed off at them. But fortunately, he underestimated his older sister, who's also a super being. So she actually neutralizes him. The boys show up. They put him in the van, and they get the fuck out of there, right? But before they get the fuck out of there, Huey here is doing something useful, and he's actually closing the door for the van. And when he's doing that, he turns around to see Bill Butcher, who decks him hard, like a solid, clean hit, right, right hook, pow, right in the kisser. There you go. That's what I was looking for this whole time. Knocks him out, and Bill Butcher basically says, "Get between me and my girl again, and I'm gonna fucking kill you." So hopefully this will knock some sense into Huey. I have faith. Sometimes you just need to punch somebody. It's really weird, and they stop being a stick in the mud. However, it could go the other way. So Huey might actually get worse. Who knows? I'm hoping that this was like a smack of reality, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm giving Huey the benefit of the doubt. I have hope for the kid, right? Because he took that punch like a man, and he got up. He sat back in the car and got with the program. So maybe this will be finally the moment where he stops being annoying. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Let's move on to another storyline. The storyline of Homelander and his son. So this is the kid Ryan. This is Homelander. And basically, Homelander's playing catch with his kid in the backyard, and he's trying to be a dad. And it's really weird because he's kind of impatient with him because he wants his kid not to be a normal kid. He wants his kid to be a super kid. And he's stressed out because he knows he has powers. He's just not manifesting them. So, oh, by the way, because I think at the end of season 1, you actually see the kid's eyes glow. So he's like, hey, stop being a little bitch and use your powers. But the kid's like, but well, I don't have any powers. So Homelander's kind of getting a little bit stressed there. This leads Mama Becca to come in there and be like, hey, why the fuck are you here? And Homelander's, well, we had a fucking deal. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Also, we didn't have to have a deal because I can do whatever the fuck I want because I'm basically Superman. I'm more powerful than Superman. And that basically tells us, all right, Becca probably made some kind of deal with Homelander to save Bill, to save Butcher's life. So that solves that mystery. So Becca is upset, and she leaves the house to take Ryan to piano practice. And while she's out of the house, Homelander's basically cruising around, drinking milk, and all around just, snooping. He's snooping the house. And so Becca actually runs to complain to HR, basically, and to doctor or something. I don't remember his name, but I don't think it's going to be that relevant. She's basically complaining like, what the fuck is he here? You promised we had a deal. He can't be here. And the dude on the phone is basically like, it's fucking Homelander. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. Be thankful that we're alive. So the best thing you can do right now is hope that he gets bored eventually, which will probably happen. But in the meantime, we kind of already pissed him off by not telling him. We're not going to piss him off more. So just cross your fingers that he gets bored and kind of try to not piss him off any more than we already did. So that leaves Becca. Obviously, she was very upset, but what can you do? So Homelander still continues trying to be a dad. He gets his kid a cell phone, so he has somebody to contact. And the kid's like, but I don't have any friends. And he's like, well, you can contact me. And he's like, okay, I mean, you're kind of a weirdo, but I'm not going to tell you that because I guess it would be rude. But Homelander kind of reads between the line a little bit. Well, actually, no. I don't think he actually caught that, but whatever. And so then we get a little insight into Homelander's mind because he tells his kid, basically, we're gods, all right? So this is the way that Homelander sees himself. He sees himself as a god. He is above humanity. And he wants his kid to see himself that way because he is a part of him. They should have the similar power, so they're both above normal humans. And so that's where we got a nice little insight into his mind there. Next, as he's about to leave, Mama Bear's still pretty much upset, and she threatens Homelander, basically like, get the fuck out of here. I don't want you in my house anymore. So basically like putting her foot down, which is not a good idea when you're dealing with a psychopath with superpowers, who nobody can stop, like literally nobody. And so, or at least at this point, nobody can stop him. And so Homelander basically lays down the line, and he doesn't actually use the threat of his powers. It's actually pretty interesting. He uses the threat of, yeah, you've been keeping this kid in hiding his entire life. What happens once he wants to see the entire world? He's going to fucking hate you because there's a big, beautiful world out there that you are keeping him away from. And so when he wants to go out and see it, he's going to hate you for it. You hid him his entire life. And so he uses that threat, which was weird. I mean, I guess not weird. It's unexpected. So it shows you that he's an unconventional fighter there. And honestly, props to Becca. Props to Becca for having the balls to standing up against Homelander. Because again, Dude is basically a god. Like, if he wanted to, he could just kill her and take the kid. Like, very easily. I wouldn't even be that difficult. He could just always take the kid out of the house and do whatever he wants with him. Like, what's he gonna do? It'll be like, hey, I'm taking the kid to a ball game. And she's like, no. It's like, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? Literally, there's nothing you could do about it. Nothing. I could just take him and fly away. What are you gonna do? Call the cops? Good luck. They're not gonna stop me. They're gonna do anything. What are you gonna do? Call the president? He can't stop me. There's literally nothing that you could do. So, but still, props for her for trying. It was a futile effort, but still, respect. I respect that. I respect people who stand up for themselves. It wasn't very smart, but I respect it. Anyway, moving on. Another storyline. We got the storyline of the girls here. So Starlight, Queen Maud, and Stormfront are basically doing the press tour to promote the new girl in the crew, and it's the first time there's ever been 3 women in the 7, so they're doing like this whole promotional thing, and they're walking around, and while they're in the middle of this tour thing, Queen Maud gets a phone call, and she bolts the hell out of there, and so her story is actually pretty short, so I'm just gonna get her story out of the way. She gets called to the hospital because it turns out that her ex, Helen, still has her as her emergency contact, so she goes over there and visits. They kind of have like this nice little bonding moment where it looks like they might start dating again, but it seems like their previous issues are still always there, which is that Maud would have to be kind of in the closet, and they would never be able to do anything outside. And so this girl's like, fuck that. I don't want that kind of relationship. Why are you even here? Get the fuck out of here. And so this leads Maud to confess pretty much her fears. And her fear basically is she shared a story of, let me just move this a little bit here. Shared the story of a producer from a TV show hitting on her one night, and then a couple of nights later appearing with ripped in half, basically. And so she's like, yeah, Homelander did that, probably. And so if Homelander did that to a dude, I can't even imagine what he's going to do to you. So I can't risk Homelander killing you. If that would, like, suck, I guess. And so I gotta keep this. I'm basically held hostage here. The things that he's done, the things that he's made me do, I can't risk it. And so it seems like the girl Helen kind of felt pity for her, and she's like, all right, well, I guess we can still be in secret, blah blah blah. Anyway, that's her storyline there. We learned a little bit more about her mentality or her state of mind. So let's go back to the other girls. They were in the middle of this press junket, and we get to see, I guess, Stormfront a little bit more in action. And Stormfront is interesting because she's very annoying, and I mean very annoying and very hateable, but what she says sometimes makes a little bit of sense, and actually Starlight kind of respects her in a very weird way. And here's where things get a little bit weird. They did this very stupid little storyline thing that has to do with her having a purse. So you can see Stormfront here has her purse on her because that's where she keeps her phone. It honestly, it was a very dumb thing, and I'll explain it in the bad part of this segment. But yeah, they want to show her as a rule breaker. Like, she doesn't give a fuck. She's not gonna toe the company line, which makes it weird. Why the fuck would they hire her? But all right, whatever. The big thing that happens here is that while they're in the middle of these interviews, boom, A-Train shows up. So A-Train, as you remember, he was in a coma. And the reason why he was in a coma is kind of Huey and Starlight's fault. So you remember Huey, he was kind of... Starlight was working... Starlight kind of betrayed the 7 to save Huey, and A-Train was there, so he noticed it. So this is a big surprise for Starlight. She's like, oh, fuck! Does he remember that I kind of betrayed them? And we very quickly discover that A-Train does remember that she betrayed them, but hasn't given her up for some reason. And Starlight is like, oh, fuck! So there's this kind of weird game of cat and mouse between the two that involves Starlight. She gets a vial of what is Compound V. You remember the previous episode? She blackmailed somebody into getting her some Compound V. Dude agreed, and in this episode he showed up and he gives her the Compound V. So she basically hides it in Stormfront's bag, which, that's why she had a bag, because she could hide, blah blah. So it honestly was very stupid. But there was a kind of a confrontation between Stormfront and Starlight, where Stormfront is basically like, dude, you're a sellout. Like, you're like, you're bought Barbie. Like, what the hell? Why would I trust you? Why would anybody respect you? You toe the company line 100%. Me, I'm a rebel. I do whatever the fuck I want. I tell people not to buy our shit. Which, again, it's weird. Why do you work there? What does she work there? Like, there's a big thing that doesn't make sense with this girl. It's like, she hates the company. She talks shit about it nonstop, yet she works there. Like, she'll take their money, but she fucking hates them, and she talks shit about them in front of the camera. So it's a weird thing to me of A, why do you work there if you hate them, and B, why did they hire you if she hates you? I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Hopefully it'll be explained a little bit more later on. Maybe she was there specifically just to piss off Homelander. I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, this whole game of cat and mouse with the vial of Compound B keeps getting played between A-Train and Starlight. So I'm gonna skip that because honestly it was very stupid. And it ends up with A-Train finally, haha! I got you. I caught you with the Compound V. You're done, sister. You're done. I'm gonna tell everybody about this, and Homelander's gonna peel your skin off and eat it. And so Starlight basically turns things around on him, and she's like, "Hey, you killed your girlfriend. I know you did it. I saw the something report or whatever. So give it back. Otherwise, I'm gonna tell everybody." And for some reason, A-Train is like, "Ah, man, you got me. Fine. Here you go. Just don't tell on me, please." So, all right. I guess that's an argument to convince somebody. Anyway, that's how that storyline ends. And we move into the actual fun storyline of this episode. And that is the storyline of the Deep. So, as you guys remember, the Deep was kind of being recruited into a cult. But it's also kind of a therapy session. Because here we have Carol, who is Susan from Friends. But her name is Carol here, and it's from Carol and Susan. And we have Carol here, who is trying to help him get back into the Seven, and so she gives him a psychological test, and part of those things involves him drawing himself the way he pictures himself, and she wants to point out something like, "Hey, in this drawing you made of yourself, you kind of forgot to put your gills in there, guy. You kind of forgot them." And so this leads Eagle the Archer to give him basically shrooms so he could go on a psychedelic trip. He takes the shrooms, and he goes on a very weird psychedelic trip that leads to him talking with his gills. That conversation is actually hysterical, and he kind of, at first he refuses, of course, because who the hell talks to their gills? It's crazy. I wouldn't talk to my gills. It's insanity. They don't talk. They don't have a personality. They can't think. But eventually he gives in. He starts realizing that that's the reason why he's so bad with women is because he hates himself so much. So he makes fun of people and he makes women feel bad before they can make him feel bad. And it's all about his own body issues and his own shame of his own imperfection and how he feels he's ugly. And his gills start trying to make him feel better. And they break him and he starts crying. And eventually he reaches this cathartic moment where he's like, "I love myself. I love my body. I'm beautiful." Basically, that's what happens. So that was the episode. Now, let's go into The Good, the Bad, and the Boys.
That was diabolical.
All right. I keep forgetting to bring the audio up. That's going to be an ongoing thing here. So, in The Good, the Bad, and the Boys, what I do, I pretty much break down the things that I like from the episode, the things that I didn't like from the episode, and in The Boys, I share a fun fact about the series, the characters, or some topic that was approached during that particular episode, you know, or whatever the fuck I want. It's my show. I can do whatever the fuck I want. So, but it's a fun fact. Anyway, let's start with The Good. So, in The Good, Chase Crawford, who is the actor who plays the Deep, knocks it out of the park. Now, whoever thought of making the Deep storyline, of making this character play this particular storyline straight is a genius, because it's hysterical. The storyline is beyond ridiculous. It's beyond stupid. He's talking to his own gills. Like, the dude is getting, basically, he's being inducted into a cult. He goes on a psychedelic trip where he talks to his gills. It's ridiculously stupid. But the guy plays it straight. All right, Chase Crawford acts his ass off and plays this like it's an actual like a straightforward, like, dude went for the Academy Award on this one. It is fucking hysterical. I loved every second of it. I've been a fan of the deep storyline because that's how it's been pretty much the entire show. They put him in kind of very ridiculous, stupid situations, but the dude plays it straight. So far, I think this is his best scene so far, at least acting wise. I really enjoyed it, and I don't remember the actor's name who voiced the Gills. He's a famous guy. I off the top of my head I can't remember his name, but he's like a shorter, fat guy who's a big nerd. Anyway, that was my favorite part of this episode by far. Playing straight the most ridiculous situation that they've thought of up to this point. I can only expect it's going to get more ridiculous as the show goes on, but I really enjoyed that. Next, I enjoyed seeing Huey get decked. He needed it. It's about time, somebody did it, and I'm glad it was Bill Butcher who did it, because he was getting really annoying. Really, really annoying. I'm hoping this was the knockback to reality. I'm really hoping. However, it's sometimes storylines get extended unnecessarily. I'm hoping the show won't do that because it's only 8 episodes, I think, per season. So hopefully that knocks some sense into him. And even if it doesn't, I enjoyed watching it. Sometimes, you gotta get punched in the face. And sometimes you gotta see somebody get punched in the face and to make you feel better. Anyway, moving on. The other thing that I liked is the whole interaction with Homelander and his kid is great because of the underlying threat of it all. It should be like a nice moment. This is a dude who didn't have a dad. He didn't have a family. And so he has the opportunity to raise his kid and to be like a good person and mold another human being. But there's an implied threat underneath where we know Homelander's insane and we know that he's a child at heart. He is not a child at heart, but he's childish. And so if he gets stressed out or annoyed, he might kill this kid. So, and he'll be like, oh, well, I guess I killed my kid. So I love it because it should be a good moment. He is doing good things, but it's still terrifying to watch because he's going to lose it, or you're worried that he's going to lose it because you don't feel like he cares about the kid. The kid's a prop. The kid's basically a prop, and his toy that has the attention right now, and if the toy doesn't do what he wants, he will smash it. So that was very well handled. I'm liking this. I want to see more of it. Well, hopefully the kid will stop being a prop and will actually become a character, and when he does, I'll actually introduce him as a character, but we'll see. Next, let's move on to the bad. And the bad, I kind of complained about it already as we're doing the summary, is the whole storyline with A-Train and Starlight. This was a wasted opportunity. I mean extremely wasted opportunity. This was a situation where there could have been a whole lot more tension, and there wasn't. They resolved it way too quickly. It went from something like, holy shit, he knows, to just like, oh, well, it's resolved. It way too quickly. In one episode. Like, they didn't even... You know how I said that you need to milk certain storylines with Huey just like 10 seconds ago? Well, this was actually an interesting situation they could have milked a little bit because, tension's always fun. And it could have been A-Train actually trying to, all right, do I remember? Do I not remember? Oh, I need a little bit of evidence. Or, damn, can she rat me out on other stuff? I need to cover my bases. So actually trying to be smart about it. Or sneaky about it, and him trying to play her. It could have been an actual fun game of cat and mouse. Instead, it just ended up being of, I hid tampons in a bag, which was stupid. So that takes me to hiding tampons in a bag. This was also beyond stupid because A, it was predictable. Like the moment that they showed, oh, she has a backpack, it was beyond obvious that they were going to use that backpack for something. Because usually, you introduce a prop, you use it. But it's like, it was way too obvious, at least for me, one thing leading to the other. It's like, oh, she's getting this little pink bag that's extremely obvious that can use something, and her costume doesn't have any pockets, so obviously she's going to hide it somewhere else. And what's even worse, they didn't even milk it. Like, they could have actually had Stormfront leaving with her bag. She'd be like, fuck you guys, I'm leaving. But no, everything ended up working out way too nicely for this particular storyline. This is a show where things get fucked up very quickly for no fucking reason. Things get wild, and I love it. That's why I love this show. This one was way too neat, way too clean, way too quick, and it's annoying. It's annoying to me because that's not, or A, it's not how this show is supposed to be, and B, it's not how life is. So That's why that's in the bad. Now let's move on to the boys. So, fun fact about the show here: Kimiko. For those of you who've never watched the show, Kimiko is a mute. She's a member of the boys. She's a mute, meaning that she cannot talk now, or she can't speak. Deaf is when you can't hear. Mute is when you can't talk. Now, it's unclear if she can't speak due to something physical or something psychological. Point is, she doesn't make any noise. So, when it came to the way she was going to communicate, when in this episode, when she meets her brother, she actually uses sign language to speak with her brother. So she uses some things. However, it's interesting because when she lost her voice, they were already captured by the terrorist group. So the character never really learns how to use sign language. They kind of make up their own sign language. And this is something that actually I got from an interview. I got from an interview. I watched an interview because we did a Comic-Con. We interviewed the boys and we got to talk to them. And she shared this fact with us that the actress Karen Fukuhara, she got together with a sign language expert and they actually made up their own sign language. So every single thing that she does is an actual language that they made up. So, the reason why they had to do this is, if they tell you something, hey, your character's a mute, however, the thing that she says, her language, is sign language, but it's kind of made up, as an actor, you'd be like, great, all I have to do is just kind of make up a whole bunch of stuff that makes sense with my hands, and it'll be cool, right? Whatever, I can just do whatever, it doesn't really matter. You'd be wrong. The reason why you'd be wrong is because if you're on camera, and let's say we're talking here, and all of a sudden there's a shot from the other side, your hand still has to be doing the same thing. So in order to maintain, let's say, there's a term for this, editing cohesion? No. Editing flow. In order for things to look good on editing, in order for things to make sense when you're doing a cut, when you're editing stuff, and so that it's not a fucking nightmare for the editor, you have to keep doing the same movement over and over. And there's a term for this. I can't fucking remember. It's been too long, and I have a bad habit of renaming things. It's like, hey, pass me this particular tool. I'll rename it according to what it does. I don't know. And so blocking. There you go. So that's what you do scene blocking. You want actors to be at the same spot every single time. That's why when you move the camera, it'll look like they're still there. And when you're editing, it'll look like you're still doing the same stuff. And so in order for her to be able to do the same thing over and over again, they made up their own special little sign language for this show. And I guess they're the only two people in the world who can actually speak it. And that's why every single time that she does a particular line, it's the same one. It's the same one. She keeps doing the same things. And honestly, that is beyond impressive. Like, she actually, not only did she have to learn another language for this role, she created one. So that's beyond impressive. At least it was impressive for me. I consider it to be impressive. Kudos to you, Karen. Like, honestly, the guy, I respect this woman so much more now. So much more. And I want them to use her character more. So, because they haven't used her enough. It's mainly, I guess, because she doesn't talk much. But they need to use her more now. So, there you go. That was it. That was the good, the bad, and the boys. That was the breakdown of episode 2. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully it was fun for you. Overall, I think the first episode was a little bit better. This one was fun. It was funny. Like I said, I really enjoyed the whole thing with the deep there. I can't wait to see what other stupid stuff they come up with. Honestly, that's the thing that I'm most excited about. How dumb could this storyline get? And I want to see how straight he can play it. Like, at what point, there's got to be a point where he breaks. And I want to see it. Like, I really enjoyed that. So, that's it for today. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Live streaming pretty much every day. I'm aiming every day this week. Sometimes I'll double dip if it's possible. You can find that on YouTube at Super Dario World and on Twitch at Super Dario World. Also follow me on Facebook at Super Dario World. I update everything there. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.